Blessings, blessings and welcome. I'm just getting set up here. I'm so excited to be with you for our tarot energy forecast. Thank you everyone who hopped on with me earlier today at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for my weekly live stream, 4D Trinity. Today, our theme is and was energy protection. We went into a deep discussion about the different aspects regarding the 3D-ality, the 3D use and usefulness of the tool of energy protection, but also the aspect of the relinquishing of the need for energy protection as we move into that 4D consciousness. Just as a reminder, every week I go live on Instagram and here at YouTube with my show 4D Trinity, where we bridge fourth dimensional consciousness through the unity of mind, body, and emotions with spirit. So thank you so much. Once a month from that show, I do an Ask Me Anything where you can write in your comments. Now it's going to be a while. I wrote it down when our date is, it's going to be the 11th of July. That will be our next Ask Me Anything. So you can mark your calendars for that if that's something that is of interest to you. And in the meantime, I want to express my gratitude for the support that you share with me here, there, and everywhere. We're almost at 1K followers here at this YouTube channel. And I love this community. I really, really do. This platform and Instagram are my favorites. Everything I share here, I affirm and I pray that it truly serves your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. We're all in this together, figuring out this calibration of the light body and how to rest and relax in this new frequency of light coming into us and through us. I will be in Ireland this fall. In September, I am facilitating a REIKI energy school immersion for level 1 and level 2. If you are not on my love letter, if you are not subscribed at my website, go down below to the show more box and hit my website link, which is my full name, tuesdaymaythomas.com. And there at the first page, you will see a link that you can fill in your name and your email and receive my monthly love letter. And I'll be sending 1 or 2 extra emails a month at this time because I've got some interesting teachings coming up that I'm excited to share with you. And for the most part, regarding those workshops that I will be hosting and facilitating in Ireland. So if that is of interest to you and you're not subscribed and you appreciate what I share, go to my website and check it out. And as always, I thank you for being a subscriber here at YouTube. And thank you for the crossover of those of you that are here at YouTube and also those that follow me at Instagram. So let's get into it. As you know, my schedule is just becoming a little bit more committed. And so I'm not doing our weekly tarot readings anymore. I've been doing a reading about every 2 weeks, twice a month or so. Tomorrow is our summer solstice, and I'm so very excited because it is like the light of all of us is going to be unplugged and plugged back in on a galactic level. And so all of those wishes and dreams and aspirations that were in your mental configuration coming into this new year of 2019, all of those intentions that you set, it's a time for us to reflect, especially we are coming into the beginning of the shadow period of that Mercury retrograde. So wow, here we go again. We get to really sit in this beautiful blessing of this. It's almost like, you know, a slideshow. It's like we're click, we're going into the next slide of this year, individually and collectively, and what that means to us. And we get to reflect and look at those intentions that we created at the beginning of the year and what is really serving us from that time and what we wish to release or reconfigure, redefine, and what we will carry forth into this next half of this year. Because ultimately, it feels that what we're doing in this year of 2019 is we are honing and clarifying those aspects that we will be bringing into this massive spectrum of you being your full true self in a way that is embodied on this planet that you have never done before, that I have never done before, that we together have never fully embodied before. And so this is really powerful and exciting because the world will not be the same when you start showing up as that new authenticated version of you. I did want to say one more thing. I am making a movie, and it's called Grid Mind Science. I also have an Instagram link for that at Grid Mind Science. I'm in the current process of writing the script for that movie and of sitting with creating the correct conditions for it all to align and come to pass in the most beautiful ways. If that is of interest to you, I have a playlist. Even just check out my sizzle reel. If you're interested in metaphysics, being a master of your time and space, I have a feeling you will resonate with that. So thank you again for listening, for subscribing, and being here. Summer Solstice 2019. We're going to get into our reading. As you know, I always start with one of our Voyager cards to give us an overview, and then we move in to our Osho Zen Tarot. Let's take a moment and call in our angels and our guides, all those divine light beings who love us, all those blessed, blessed angels. We love you so much, and we're so grateful for all the ways that you hold space for us. We call in all of our animal totems, those light beings who love us unconditionally. So we had one that fell out. This is interesting. Anger. Very interesting, but you know what? And this rarely happens. The card that was upturned right underneath it is love. So this right away shows me this transformation that is at hand for all of us. Anger and love. So what I do is I read from our little book the meaning. And then we get into our Osho Zen Tarot. So let me just take a moment to look this up. Our Four of Cups, anger. And isn't it funny, because when we have our tarot, we read our tarot, we pull a card, right? There's always this part of us that wants it to be like the good stuff. I want it to be the fortune and the, the love and the romance and the, financial wealth and all this stuff. And then when a card like anger comes up, it's like, oh, okay, let's pay attention and let's see what wisdom it has for us. So I'm going to hold it up here and I'm going to read from the book. Emotions are fragile, as are cups. You can break and explode. Your cups are smashed in anger. In your inner conflict, you see and become enraged like the stormy, muddy river. You are aggressive as you throw your emotions or cups around. You are as defensive as the prickly cactus. Anger is a fall on your way to the mountaintop. But the passion of anger can be converted into positive energy and spur you on to new heights. Let your anger out in non-abusive ways, and you will be renewed and transformed. Channel your anger into creativity. So right there, we have this aspect. Let me hold this for you properly so you can see. We have this aspect of that transformation and really of being that inner alchemist. And what I love talking about is that we are all that alchemist, and the alchemist's tool is love. And isn't it funny that that next card right next to this, even though anger is the one that fell out, when I put the deck down, the card that was sitting face up, facing us is love. So I'm going to read about love in tandem. And it's also a cup card. And this is interesting now that I see it. In this Voyager deck, here's a little book. If you're interested, if you like these pictures and these messages when I read from this, it's James Wanless that has created this wonderful oracle of this tarot called Voyager Tarot. But it's interesting. So in his deck, now I'm just noticing this, the love card is the Three of Cups. And that anger card was the Four of Cups. So this is really interesting, right? We're going to get into reading this about love. Love, the pink rose, is the unfoldment of your heart center symbolized by the nautilus and blossoming flower. In love, openly give of yourself and receive of another. Risk being vulnerable. Love, the inner union of your dynamic male and receptive female. encourages you to flow and flower with another, with all parts of yourself and with the world. Love is the glue with which you build community with others in spite of differences. It is symbolized by the continuum of the fighting fish. So, and there's this aspect that love never gives up. Love just is. Love is a power, is a presence, is a continuum. And it is our thoughts and our words and our actions and our where we place our attention and our energy that either align us with that power of love, with that frequency, with the healing potential of love that co-creates possibilities on our behalf for our highest good that would not be there otherwise if we were not attuned to that frequency of love, if we were not attuned to speaking the words of love, if we were not attuned to receiving love. So the first card to fall out is Rebirth. And I do want to say that this reading is going to take us through to the 4th of July. Okay, so there's this opening from the summer solstice that begins, depending on where you're at in the world, it might be today or tomorrow, right around here. That is this renewal period. And also in tandem, as we said earlier, with the Mercury retrograde coming up, it is this time where we begin to slow down, even though there might be a lot on your plate. There might be a lot of things that you're working on. It's a time to slow down and to reflect and to fine-tune the smaller wheels, the smaller cogs that help the bigger wheels of your dreams, your aspirations, your visions come to light, right? And so it's getting clear about how those mechanisms, what they are, and how they're working for you or not, and replacing them, replenishing them, nourishing them, cleaning them, redefining them, taking them away or adding new ones, right? This is this period now. We're halfway through this year in the timeline cycles of time and space, as this world would have us know. And so when we choose to use this vortex, this gateway consciously, we can have access to parts of ourselves and to a light of wisdom, a line of wisdom that we may not otherwise see. But again, the medicine is to rest, is to do the work, right? And allow the work to be done through you, again, through love. Knowing that anger is a part of the overview of this reading tells me that we are coming to that place where we are ready to forgive. We're ready to release the patterns of unforgiveness that hold anger as a frequency in our cellular memory that then trigger us to enact in angry ways in the world, that cause us and call us to be that in the world. As we ascend, as we enlighten, as we heal our lives, the old reactions and patterns that we had in the past disappear and dissolve, and they themselves be transmuted. We begin to just know intuitively through the grace of love that there is another way to respond. There is another way to hold space for yourself rather than reacting from old patterns or triggers or pain. It is a time of great healing, and where we are unhealed, there resides those aspects, whether it's anger or jealousy or, rage. All that is fear. It's just fear. Anger is just fear that's unresolved. And we get to learn how to place love there. We get to learn how to choose again, to choose the best that we can, to replace those anger-rooted patterns with love. And so this is our theme, and it feels like this is our work that we're coming into in the summer solstice. And don't be hard on yourself. We're all working on some level on ourselves, right? Especially when we go forth consciously. When we choose to be a light unto ourselves. We choose to allow the light in. It's going to illumine those parts of self that maybe we haven't seen before or that we haven't known before. There's a few cards falling out. I'll pull them up here in a second. And sometimes we don't want to see those parts of ourselves, yet that is a part of our spiritual growth. That is a part of our initiation to knowing thyself and to attuning to the truer parts of who and what we wish to really be and embody, and really getting to get really clear on those frequencies of anger and those other aspects emotionally that go with that. And how is that serving your body, your stress, your day-to-day peace of mind? And just knowing that that level of forgiveness, of grace is always there, that love is always there, that we might choose it to see things differently, to co-create a different reality for ourselves, to experience this beautiful life by. So this summer solstice, I feel, is this awakening of this greater power of love within. Yet it is our ability, our aptitude, our willingness to say yes to the love, to let that love in and to channel through, to create the correct conditions so that we can show up in that fierce grace of love and let love speak through us, let love see through our eyes, through our body, through our minds, and help us reconstruct our thoughts and our realities from that unshakable foundation of love. So while I was shuffling, we had some cards fall out. Letting go. Again, big one, right? Letting go of the anger, letting go again of the fear, silence. Meditate, meditate, meditate. That's what that's all about. You know, in the new year, I'm so excited to be cultivating some online courses for us and an energy school whereby there's going to be all sorts of courses coming together. In the meantime, I do have my meditation playlist, which you can check out. I'll come back a little later and put a link. I'll put some links up top here that you can check out, especially if you're new to this channel, what I share. And if it's of interest to you, then we'll keep in touch. And I look forward to sharing my energy school with you as it comes manifest. With this anger, the suppression card came through. And suppression, again, these are all of the parts of ourselves and the issues in the tissues. These are the issues that we have unresolved. And you know, as we choose love, as we choose light, again, it's like this alchemating force that comes in and starts to gently, sometimes eruptively, depending on what is of service to our higher good, but it'll come in and it'll start to purge out those parts of our nature or that have become a part of our nature so that we can see them. Those things that have been hidden in the dark, those things that have been suppressed, that we have pushed down. Perhaps where we have, excuse me, perhaps where we've unconsciously responded in the world or to people in ways that is passively aggressive, that we are unaware of. But now we're beginning, the light is coming in, and we're beginning to see ourselves and our circumstances in that light. And again, being honest with ourselves and taking ownership of like, wow, I really intend to be a kinder person towards myself, not get so upset with myself if I don't meet that goal or hit that deadline, or just be more gentle with others in all the ways that it translates. But what I'm getting about this is that there is a deep, deep, deep seated root of anger that is threaded to an experience that we've had, whether it's, I feel, individually and collectively. Right? You could be angry at the world. It might not be a person. You could just be like pissed off with the world and its circumstances. But that's why we meditate, so that we can remember that we are not a body. We are spirit, and we can bring our consciousness and awareness to a deeper level of understanding our multidimensionality, so that as we see anger, we realize that we are not that anger, but that it signifies, it's signaling us that there's an area of life that is ready to be healed. Ah, you see, universal confirmation. I love when that happens. So, suppression, right? Let's become aware of, you know, where we're holding our tongue. Sometimes it's the things that you don't say as well that cause a buildup of stress in the body. If you really need to express and create a healthy boundary, or say, you know what, that makes me feel uncomfortable. That kind of makes me angry. when you react like that, and there's that whole spiritual dimension of like, you spot it, you got it. So if you're angry at someone's actions, in the spiritual realm, they would say, well, that's because you have those actions and you're reacting to a part of yourself that has not been brought to light, that has not been finessed into its balanced, graceful aspect within you. And you take what you want, however you want to see it. It can all be true to you if you'd like, right? It's just what works for you, what aspect, what way in, what doorway in are you going to use it? Whether it's because you see it on the outside or you're saying you see it on the inside, or both. But ultimately, when it's ready to come up and you see it, you feel it, you sense yourself responding, reacting in that way, right? We can even be angry. It doesn't even have to be at people. We can be angry with ourselves for taking on too much, for not being able to say no and create healthy boundaries. We can be angry at time because it feels like we don't have enough time. There's lots of different ways that this anger can be. It doesn't have to be specifically with a person and a thing from your past. Yet, there's a part here, because we have our letting go card, and right next to it, the rebirth card, which is us evolving and elevating and coming back to the innocence and the purity of love and the divine purification of the healing that remembrance brings. I feel that besides those peripheral aspects of how we may react in the world, with those subtle aspects of anger, again, that is all fear, rooted in fear, it feels there's a levels of this for us to bring our awareness to. And it feels that we are ready to allow ourselves to sit with these different levels. We have amassed a certain amount of light that we can, in a detached way, recognize aspects of ourselves without getting more angry at ourselves, without beating ourselves up, right? We've come to a certain level of balance of just understanding in a detached way that we are a being on this planet, perhaps who has karmas or lessons or trials, whatever way you want to talk about it. Maybe you feel you've been here before in a past life, and there's a buildup of things now that you're really working on, completing, forgiving, making peace with, activating, And so for our, again, individual and collective evolution in this solstice time of this 2019, this reading is inviting us to allow ourselves to sit as a master, to see ourselves, to see these aspects of self, to journal about it, to write about it, to contemplate with it, pull a card about it, do your, meditations on it. Like, where can I resolve this? How can I resolve this? What is my guidance, higher self? And how I can navigate making peace here. And believe me, when you ask with sincerity to your higher self, to that voice for God, to Holy Spirit, what name you would give it, you will receive, you will know, you will get a download. And what I will add to that is, if it doesn't happen right away, that divine aha, that guidance, that download, you will know on an as need to know basis, right? Build the bridge of your mystic gift of trust. Don't give up right away, because if you don't get an answer right away from higher self, don't give up. Stay firm in your faith, in your grace, in your trusting that when you need to know, it will be the right time. Because you are not alone in this healing of whatever it is, that you're healing with time, you're healing with stress, you're healing with the past pain. You are not alone. We are all interconnected. And if there is no divine answer given right there when you ask higher self, you ask God, if there's no deliberate vision or feeling realization of okay, I know what at least my next little step is to do, and then I'll be told what is after that. If there's no clear path and you've asked, right, then trust that it will come in its perfect time, because there are other people involved in that healing. There are other elements at play in the collective, such as time or stress management, etc., that are getting to be recalibrated along with your recentering and recalibration. And exercising that ability to remember that time is not real. It is a construct, it is a tool of this 3D matrix. But to let yourself know that it is malleable, and to allow it to be flexible, to allow it to be rooted When you ask higher self in the wisdom of that higher self, so that when you do get the aha, when you do get the thing, then you act on it, you move on it, and you trust implicitly. So where we're going with this, though, is this beautiful, beautiful healing, right? We're letting go. We're letting go of the past. We're letting go of those versions of ourselves. As always, there's a part of you that's ready to shed in this summer solstice, to be burned by the fires, so that more and more of your true self can be exposed and be illumined in the light that is the light, right? And through that healing of those old paradigms of maybe how we respond with anger, or that subtle passive-aggressive rage, or whatever it might be, towards ourselves, towards others, towards the world, or all of it, as those dissolve and deconstruct, your internal lightness of being, your lightness turns on. And then the path, the way of your grace, the way of love, being the way of you just being in the now, but also the way forward, so to speak, right, is shown, is revealed under grace, without force. It takes practice. That's our spiritual initiation, though. And it's not just a one-time off, right? This is a constant and a consistent, repetitive practice of placing love, of choosing love, of listening for love, connecting, communing with the higher self, right? You may have a download, or you may feel a connection instantly, and maybe not. Maybe you need to build that muscle, that musculature up, okay? But being present and doing that work is going to help guide you into your peace and away from those polarizing aspects that have held you trapped in thinking that that's all there is, and being a victim, and being and responding and reacting to the world from those versions of yourself. You are being invited to be a new version of yourself, you know, and as that anger and that suppression gets transmuted, you have so much more life force and energy accessible to you. And that rebirth, you know, if we look at the camel, this is where we're unconscious. The lion, we go into conscious things that were hidden, again, from the summer solstice, where the whole galaxy is being unplugged and plugged back in, including our little lights. As they say, the veil gets thinner, you know, between the worlds, or the dimensions, if you will. And we go from that unconscious metaphor aspect of the camel to that conscious lion, where now we're like, whoa, okay, something has shifted here. The light has been unplugged and plugged back in, and the light somehow is even brighter, or I see in a different way from this shift. And then we mature, oddly enough. We mature into innocence. And from that childlike innocence comes playfulness. You know, when we have lightened our load and we've forgiven, and we're working towards relinquishing the angers and the fears and all that stuff that's rooted in, we have so much more energy then at our disposal to just have fun with life, to not take ourselves and life so seriously. And believe me, I know there are times and there are places where it's like, no, this is serious. This is serious right now. I'm in a serious mode, you know, and there's cycles. Yet if we stay in that cycle, and that becomes like the mainstay for a whole life of being angry, right? As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you know, you have a bad experience, you stub your toe, you get upset, you get angry about it. And you can stay angry about that situation, you know, for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year. You know, there's these little things that build up, and then all of a sudden it goes from you just being upset or angry that you stubbed your toe to like a part of your personality of like, well, they're just always angry. They're just kind of aggressive. You know, if you keep letting those little things just build up without being conscious and taking that moment and clearing and checking yourself, checking your energy, how you're holding the configuration of your energy, if those things are not attended to, right? How are you ever going to have fun? How are you ever going to play and resume the maturing into innocence? You know, I mean, the yogis, the masters, the Buddhist masters, you know, all the masters, the spiritual masters of our world, they are the biggest children. They take nothing seriously. They have learned to heal their lives to such the degree that they can simply just play with energy. They can play in the world because they have come to a part and realization where they know that they are not of the world. They are not that anger. They are not those parts of their past. And so we're being invited to really let go. Let go. What are you really ready to let go of at this summer solstice? Maybe you're having a ceremony, or you're just going to write an energy letter. I'm going to put a link up here. That's going to be one of my first online courses that I'm so excited to make for you, is writing an energy letter from your higher self to another person's higher self, saying all the things that you couldn't say in the 3D to them in person, whether they've passed away, or whether it's just not an appropriate situation to be in their physical presence and say what you need to say, or whether it's a thing, a creation, an event, an aspect that you just need to talk to, that you write this letter. And you have this divine communion to set the record straight, to reconfigure the griddery, the synaptic grids within yourself as they're reflected, right, in the synaptic sky. And I got that from Jay-Z Knight, that synaptic sky quote, which I love. So we decide on how we respond, how we react, and if we react or respond at all. Right? It takes courage to be playful in the world when we're constantly bombarded with how serious the world is and how, like, we're all going to die and explode, and all the fear-based news that maybe we can sometimes get sucked into and get really swept away in. And the more that we have unresolved anger and fear issues within us, the more real all those polarized aspects of media, of news, of information in the world, of people's stories, of just everything all around us is going to seem more real. But where we're going is that fourth dimensional consciousness, is that heaven on earth realization, is that place of coming back to the I am that is forever connected to God, to source, to love, to light, to love and only love, to you being in your truth. And maybe it feels right in your truth to be angry about something, yet there will eventually come a point where you'll be invited to drop the anger, because you start to realize it's actually causing an elevation in your blood pressure. It's actually such a distraction. You're renting that situation or that person out space in your mind, and that's all you can think about, and it's driving you nuts. There's going to be a point in your spiritual practice where you're going to realize some stuff, and you're going to say, you know what? I'm ready to change this. I'm ready to choose again. I'm ready to see things differently, as A Course in Miracles would say. And what I'm offering to you is that the summer solstice, this next period, these next 2 or 3 weeks, is the opening to this gateway. And so it is a time initially to relax. It is a time to stay grounded. When we are really releasing some very polarized, heavy, deep anger. I mean, I don't know what we could be angry for, but there's some pretty heavy stuff that we may have been traumatized or violently had an experience with, that we're pissed off about, and we've been carrying that anger, but this is the time of loosening those parts. But it can be very challenging to really do that level of work, and we honor that. It is an initiation. To let anger go is a big deal. It's easier to be angry than to let that anger go, oddly enough, because you have to get over your ego, right? You have to say, okay, Tar Body, we're distinguishing this now. We're going to start healing this and releasing this. And all the parts of you that have gotten used to responding and reacting and being that version of you based in fear are going to say, oh no, you need this. You need this anger. You need this aspect. And that's why, as we do the work, as those layers come off and peel off, stay grounded. Take yourself to the park, get your shoes off, hug a tree, take your breaths, breathe in nature if you can. Go play, go just sit, take a book, whatever it is, but allow yourself to have that connection outside of your normal, right? If you're a 9-to-5er and all you do is you see your house and the TV and your car and your job and your coworkers, and you never get out to nature, not necessarily just to a movie or happy hour, but out into nature, then it can be challenging to have that deeply rooted grounding reset where you can relax into a greater perspective of seeing yourself and others in the situation so that they can be redefined in a beautiful way. So maintain your sense of grounding over this summer solstice initiation coming into this Mercury retrograde, so that as you reflect, as things start to peel away, you can retain your sense of center, your sense of rootedness, because that's always going to keep you attuned to your truth, so that you have that anchor of truth as you unveil those parts of false self that are no longer in resonance, those parts that have been hidden or suppressed that are ready to come to the light in this summer solstice vortex, this portal. Grounding as well is very important because you are ready to move forward. Once those chains and those layers and those heavy, dense energies have been lifted and you've really, are making a sincere, passionate dedication to healing them, you lighten, right? You lighten. And you don't have to be slowed down by the time and space of those past configurations in your energy being and vehicle. And so, where was once you felt heavy and tired and exhausted and just like emotionally drained and like, it takes a lot of energy to be angry, to hold anger, and to maintain it on a long-term basis, 10 years, 5 years, 50 years, 20 years. That's a configuration that creates an opening in your aura that allows in the same energy as it. And it can be very subtle and invisible. And so often we don't even know that it's there. And so you're ready to work on this on the next level. I'm ready. We all are ready, as you would see it, as you would have it. So stay grounded, stay rooted, because as you let those layers go, right, you detox. You have that DNA detox. Those old configurations of what your DNA was replicating, anger, the frequency of anger, right, through your cells, and just replicating them in all of your organs and all of your bones and bone marrow and your, gray matter of your brain. When you start healing that stuff and really, as it's aligned and it's divinely for the highest good, time for that stuff to go, you will change from the inside out. And so the requirement for grounding is very important, because the earth will always set you straight. The earth will keep your cycles in its highest alignment with the Schumann resonance, bringing you back to truth, bringing you back to yourself, bringing you into the specific cycles per second of self that will help you maintain your center and know thyself, know who you are without those old patterns, right? Because you get lighter. And then the whole world is going to say, hey, let's play. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm not used to being so light. I'm not used to smiling. But I've known people that just didn't even know how to smile because they've had such a hard life. They've had such a tough life, And then they start doing yoga and they start learning how to breathe and to like loosen up and to cry in savasana or whatever it is. And little by little, their face starts to change, and where there was always a scowl in the forehead, the brow of enlightenment comes, the softness comes, the words start to change. They're not so jagged and not so sharp, the aura, the energy becomes smoother. They begin to breathe deeper. They begin to smile, and they're not even knowing they're smiling. Whereas in the past, with the suppression and the anger, be like, I am not smiling. Even if I think I want to, and that's really funny, I'm not going to smile, because I'm fucking pissed off. It's like these ego, the tar body, light body things, this play of the dark and the light. But so you're going to be invited as you heal to lighten up and to smile and to play and to trust. Oh, that was the different card, right? To open your heart, and that's what it's about. And as this happens, why we want to stay grounded as we lighten our load is because we are ready to move forward in our lives. And that's what this solstice and this retrograde is all about. It's about moving you forward in your life now. Because you're ready. And the universe knows you're ready. And you see, this is another transformation, because here we have the red at the bottom of the card of suppression. That's fire. And you're either burning yourself out by holding those old patterns of the anger and the rage and the fear and all those things that have that frequency. But again, as we learn to heal those aspects, let that energy evolve and transmute into greater love, right? It turns to playfulness again. That's a fire. That's still fire energy. It's just changed. It's how it's using itself. It's changed its polarity from negative to positive. And then from that playfulness, this is fire as well. This is intensity. Shoo. This is like, or rather, shoo. You know, there's like, okay, I'm ready to move now. You know, where I was once laid down and chained and bound and anchored and stuck. Wow, now my energy is lighter and universe is ready to sweep you and take you to all those places you know in your heart that are the true you. Now the gift is letting the divine wisdom of the quantum organizer of love and of light of this universe do the how, right? You just know who you are, what you are. That's your work. And coming down to your truth. And I'm not here to tell you who or what you are, but I will share that I have a feeling that we have this in common, all of us, that at the root of our being, we are love. We are that light. We are that love. So it's interesting. Our final card here, maybe not our final card because I'm guided to just pull. We'll see, maybe one or two more come up. On its own, outside of this, is this card, which we know well if we watch these shows. The dream. And in the card, there's a woman sitting looking over her shoulder, thinking about this romantic aspect of like imagining herself being held in the arms of some fantasy man, right? Now, this can speak to romance. It can speak of your vision for yourself, though, the dream that you have for yourself. And so let's go ahead and ask the cards. We'll ask higher self, our divine angels who are holding space for us for this reading. And again, this reading is from today. I know it's the 20th here in the States, going into our summer solstice until July 4th. Okay, so cards, divine Osho-zen, our angels and our guides, thank you for enlightening us to how we can understand this dream card, the dream card that has come up for this reading today for us. Change. Isn't this interesting? So this is a massive, and this is the only, no, silence is also a major arcana. The purple in the diamond below signifies that it is a card of the major arcana, which means it has significance in being a big turning wheel. And remember at the beginning of this reading, we were talking about that, this using the retrograde, right, to go into those fine tune, or those to really inspect in a way, to reflect and inspect on those smaller cogs, those smaller beliefs and patterns and parts of ourselves that hold the big cogs in place of the patterns of our lives, and how those spinning wheels are helping to create situations and opportunities for us. And we're coming into this new version of us. And so allowing our energy to reconfigure, to draw in new circumstances, new people, new situations and opportunities is really massive. And so this is a changing set point. And so angels and guides, how does this relate to the dream? The dream is going to change. Wow. Wow, that's what I'm getting. The dream is going to change. So maybe you have had a longing for a certain person, a little fantasy, you know, crush, or whatever it might be. There's a sense here that as you do your work and you allow these cycles to just naturally dance with you and you dance with them, that those things that you had once, or that you have been carrying for some time, that have been like this dream for you, this longing, because this is an emotional dream. The blue signifies down here, this is a card of the emotions. This is something that is not here yet. It is something that is just outside of our reach. But in our minds, it is so clear. And so with this healing that takes place over the solstice and this retrograde, there's this sense where this you change. And so everything else changes too. And perhaps what you had thought you wanted from before is going to be different. So perhaps where there was a longing for things to be romantic and intimate in one way, There will be a realization of friendliness, of that relationship, of you needing to see it a certain way. You know, it's all how we see things. Maybe we go from you needing to see it a certain way as destined to be, you know, your one, your soulmate or whatnot, to just being like okay and actually very fulfilled with allowing the foundation of friendliness, of friendship to be cultivated in that domain versus requiring it to be, you know, the partner you're going to marry, you know, and spend the rest of your life with. Sometimes we create these fantasies, and that's okay. This is a part of our imagination. You know, it's a beautiful place to rest if we can be at rest with where we allow our imagination to play on behalf of us. Yet there is a sense where we can invite in that friendliness and recognize that that person that you're thinking about actually thinks about you too. Yet what feels that is more important than some fantasy of a romantic union is the foundation of the friendship that is there, and understanding how this transmutes, right? Through all levels of your being. Through, maybe it's a specific person, again, that you've had on your mind, but also maybe it's a situation or an event or a family member where you've been holding that anger for some time. Maybe you've been, really angry at a family member for many years of your life. And as that healing happens and that change happens, you know, instead of holding them in a dream of fantasy that is as a notion, as a consideration, perhaps not really serving your nervous system or your healing or your peace, you know, with that person, you can start to relax into coming back to the roots of your connection and just working on a friendship level, just being friends, just like starting from zero. You know, that can be really deep. It could be a business adventure, a creative project that is your fantasy. You know, it doesn't have to be a person, or it doesn't always have to be romance. I know we have this 3D thing where that's our fuzzy lens and we want it to be. I want love, I want romance, you know, and it's okay. It's okay. Yet I'm just, you know, reminding us that it doesn't have to always just be that. This card doesn't have to always mean that. It might for you. But it can be that friendship and that relationship with a creative project that you have. We can get angry at the things that we're working on. We can get angry with our skills and our gifts and our talents. You know, why can't I learn this? Why is this so hard? Why is this taking so long? You know, and so redefining with that reset of that change and making friends with your projects, making friends, coming back to acknowledging the roots and the branches of interconnection that abide and honoring them and letting yourself rest in that sense of playfulness. So we're going to see if there's anything else. One last card, maybe, I'm not sure. And you know what? There is, and it keeps looking at me, and it's not in this deck. It's in this deck, and it's sitting up, just like how that love card was. This is a card, and it's called Brilliance, and it keeps looking at me. It's been looking at me the whole reading, so I feel that this is our card to end on. So I'm going to read it, and then we're going to wrap up. Oh, blessings! Thanks for hopping on. I'm just wrapping up here, so if you are interested, check this out. I'm going to upload it here shortly. So this Ace of Crystals, Brilliance. So ultimately, I feel that this is where we're going. And this is very, very powerful. I love this card. So here we go. I'm going to hold it up. The formulation of pure consciousness into an idea is symbolized by the ace. The citrine sunburst represents the awakening of your mind, a flash of insight, an aha, I see now. You are cutting through darkness and clouds, symbolizing unawareness and confusion, which is our suppression, which is the anger, which is that first initial energy that we've been speaking of. The diamond brilliance of your ideas emanates a light that is inspiring, clarifying, stimulating, and revolutionary to others. Your natural brilliance has shone through. Believe in your unique genius and produce from it. Now, see, this is where we're going. That's the mojo. That's the mojo that the love gives us when we allow ourselves to heal those parts of the past, right? Is that we are put in touch and in tune with that divine genius that is ever present and that gives us wings and that moves us forward through time and space. So thank you. Thanks for hopping on. I'm so grateful. And I'm just wrapping up here, but thank you. I know this was an impromptu live here for this YouTube. And I did want to remind you that the next Q&A, Ask Me Anything, that I do is going to be on July 11th. If you're not subscribed to my monthly love letter, go to my website. The link is down below. Every month I send out a love letter with information on the teachings I share, a blog, and all sorts of juicy information. I will be in Ireland this September facilitating a Reiki energy school immersion for level 1 and 2, and I will also be doing other presentations there. I just joined Facebook, not really as a main platform, but for the platform to extend out these offerings and these courses that I will be beginning to do on greater and greater expanded levels. So you're welcome to join there. A platform that I love, though, is YouTube, and it is Instagram. So if you want to play and comment and do all that, I'm at Instagram every single day. Okay, I'm working on a movie called Grid Mind Science, which also has an Instagram page, and there's a playlist here. Check it out if you're interested in how the invisible realm of energy works and how you're connected to it and how you can learn to master it. Master the matrix, right? And start to live a life that you love. Learn how to heal your life by using the matrix as a master, right? That's all and everything that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be bridging the science with that spirituality and how it's all connected in this movie I'm making. So there's so much coming up, and I'm so grateful. Thank you all of the new subscribers to this channel. We're almost at 1K, which is like just kind of cool in a 3D way. You know, I was like, oh, okay, that's exciting for the community to be building. So thank you, everyone here. I'm so grateful. There's a listing of all my books and different things down below in the show more box if you're interested. So thank you again. May you be blessed, and may these messages serve your spiritual growth and sovereignty. Namaste with so much love, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.